Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Our largest single-theme land expansion ever.
Now we want you to share with us our latest and greatest dream.
Matterhorn Matt presents Matterhorn Mondays.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 143 of Matterhorn Mondays, coming to you all live from the Outpost. I'm your host, Matterhorn Matt.
And I'm your co-host, Alex the Historian.
And I'm the perpetual third wheel, Jeremy.
There it is, everybody. We're back.
That's right, Jeremy. You know where the hierarchy is.
Jeremy was like humming a tune while I was talking over the intro. What song was that, Jeremy?
Oh, it was just a continuation of the People Movers song that was playing in the intro.
Well, maybe one day Jeremy will have to do an acapella for us of our intro, but yeah, as you all know, links to all of our socials, all that jazz will be down in the description below. And if you'd like to be wished a happy birthday live on the stream, you can do so by clicking the link down below, submitting your birthday in our Google form. We will add it to our birthday calendar, and it looks like actually we only have one birthday this week. Today, Sunday the 19th, is Anna's, or Anna. I don't know if it's Anna or Anna. Happy birthday. Either way, on to, let's see, today is Sunday the 19th. Yeah, that's the only birthday for this whole week. I guess happy birthday to everybody who did not submit their birthday. And as always, if you'd like to voice your opinion on any of the topics we have at hand, ring up 575-386-5814. Leave a voicemail. We will listen to them live throughout the episode. We love hearing your voice and hearing what you have to say. And if we could keep the voicemails under a minute today, everybody, that would be great. And that is not an excuse to leave 5 one-minute voicemails, one after another. If you have a lot to say, make it concise. 60 seconds is probably ample time.
Beautiful.
Yeah, perfect. And yeah, that does.
Wow, Matt used the word ample.
Did I? Oh, I did.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
And he wasn't
Wow.
referring to an apple.
I'm as surprised as you are, Alex, to be honest. But anyways, it's time. Speaking of apples, it's not apple flavored. It's a different flavor. But it's time for Matt Snaps, everybody.
A whole wide world of knowledge waits underneath the cap. It's once again time this week for Matterhorn Matt Snaps.
Ryan said in chat, I wish I could go in and sing to you. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate the sentiment, but this week we have switching it up this week, you guys. we have Kiwi Strawberry Snapple today, everybody. Look at that. Kiwi Strawberry. I haven't had this flavor in a while. This was actually my favorite flavor, but I found out that this has the most sugar out of all of them, I think. Where is the sugar? Total sugars per serving, 100 per bottle, not calories. Oh, okay. So I guess a serving size isn't 2 servings per container. Okay, so this is 2 servings. And in 1 serving, the whole thing, there's 45 grams of sugar. That is a lot of sugar, you guys. So I've tried to sort of wean off this flavor, but let's go ahead and pop this open here. Wow. Did you guys hear that? That was great. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Real fact, 244.
Didn't hear anything. Do it again.
There it is. The watermelon seed spitting world record is about 70 feet. I guess people spit watermelons for world records, or watermelon seeds for world records. Not watermelon.
Talk about disgusting habits.
Yeah, gosh. I almost just poured the Snapple all over my keyboard. That would have been pretty funny. For you, but not for me. But on that note, that's been Matt Snaps, and this is about to be News from the Peak.
We now present to you News from the Peak.
For our first bit of news from the Peak, everybody, new images and blueprints for the Disneyland Vacation, or the Disney Vacation Club Tower at the Disneyland Hotel have been discovered, and that is not That is not the pictures. Hold on. I need to switch that up real quick. Every time I do. Oh my god, that's the notes for the stream.
Oh my god.
There it is. No, not still no. Wait. Here it is.
No.
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 Wait, why isn't it
No.
switching?
No. There we go.
I did it, everybody. I'm a genius, as they say. But yeah, so this is, of course, the piece of concept art that I believe Disney released. Was it already a few months ago at this point? And there are, of course, new blueprints, which will be linked down in the description below for you all to zoom in, take a bigger, closer look at, if you'd like, because these are very detailed pieces of blueprints here. Let's see. A 1,600-page report has surfaced presenting the plans for the proposed Disneyland Resort DVC Tower in detail, and the plans outline things such as the pool area and furniture design. So this area right here, kind of like a, what's that called? Like a paint, the thing that painters
It looks like a
use.
palette. Yeah, a paint palette.
A paint palette, yeah. And of course, you can sort of see Mickey Mouse down. I think that's supposed to be like a water feature or something. If you
It
can read
looks
that-
like he fell out of the sky and splattered into the pool.
It does kind of look like that, like he or like an ant, like a cockroach got squashed. But anyways, links will be down below for you all to take a deeper and more detailed look, because there are other pieces of concept art as well that we won't be able to get to touch on. But our second bit of news from the peak, this is exciting. Disney Plus documentary Howard gets a new trailer and poster. And this is, of course, the documentary on Howard Ashman, the brilliant lyricist behind Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and The Little Mermaid. And I have to say, I'm a big fan of this this poster here. It's kind of minimalist, I guess would be the word. Conveys, I guess, a lot of whimsy. I don't know. But yeah, we're not going to be showing the trailer due to copyright, because I believe it uses songs from the movies that he worked on. But the documentary will be released August 7th on Disney Plus. Very excited for this release. And finally, for news from the peak, former president, not president of the company, or president of the United States, former president and managing director of Disney Parks International, Michael Colglazier, I hope I pronounced that right, has left the company to join Virgin Galactic as CEO. Now this is, to go from president, not of the company or anything, but to go from president to CEO is always a big jump. But I believe that wraps up this week's news from the peak. Alex, what are your thoughts on any of the topics that we just discussed here?
So the images for the Vacation Club Tower look really interesting. I only wish I could stay there, but other than that, it looks kind of cool. The Howard documentary, I'm interested to see that. I know nothing about this guy, so I've actually sounds really interesting. I mean, I heard his name before. I know that he was a writer or a songwriter and stuff, but I stick to much older theme park Disney history, so it's new to me. But anyway, and then as for Michael Colglazier, I tweeted something the other day about that I actually met him once. And it was really interesting. He never seemed like he was meant for Disney. He was very, he seemed like he should be in another company, very business oriented, very serious, didn't really laugh that much. But yeah,
maybe
so
your jokes just weren't funny that you told him.
My jokes are always funny, Matt. I mean, especially the one where I say that you're the host of a podcast.
I can't find my bruh moment sound effect. It's on my old hard drive, so I can't play it. Bruh.
But I have one more teeny tiny bit of news from the peak for you guys.
Ooh.
The pre-opening report, the Disneyland pre-opening report is on Disney Plus now. I watched that the other night.
Yeah, that's right.
A+.
I've only seen bits and pieces over the years. I've never seen the full thing. And it's finally on Disney Plus, the whole thing. And it's really cool. Everybody should check it out because it shows you how they built things for the park. And it's just a beautiful film.
Nice. Awesome. Well, yeah, I saw that. I didn't watch it, but Mr. Jeremy, what are your thoughts here? News from the peak.
Okay, news from the peak. I am so excited for the Howard Ashman documentary. I'm more excited for Alex because he doesn't know that much about Howard Ashman. So I'm excited for him to learn about Howard Ashman. You know, this is so well deserved for him. His death was such a huge loss, not just to Disney, but to the world of musical theater in general. Many people consider him to be the equivalent of Walt Disney for the Disney Renaissance, and many people consider him directly responsible for the Disney Renaissance happening with the level of quality of animated features. And I could go on and on, but the documentary will do it for you. So, yeah.
All right. I am also equally excited.
I probably died there.
You did, but we could understand all your words well enough, so you're good. I also don't know that much about Howard Ashman, so I'm excited to see this documentary, and that is, again, August 7th on Disney+. And that wraps up this week's news from the peak, everybody. And we do have some great main topics that we're excited to get into today, including this week's surprise attraction retrospective. I wanted this one ride to win so bad because I was excited to talk about it, and you guys pulled a curveball on us. You voted for a different attraction than the one that I wanted, so that's kind of sad for me. But that's okay because they're still both great rides, and we'll be excited to talk about the one that ended up winning. Why am I out of breath? Holy cow. Oh my gosh. I don't know what just happened there, but anyways, for our first topic today, this is a very special topic. New Mouse... I messed it up already. New Mickey Mouse mozzarella sticks are now available to the public, and this does come to us per Inside the Magic. Quote, now that Walt Disney World is back open for visitors, many people are excited to be able to enjoy some of their favorite Disney park snacks again. And if you're wanting to visit... Why am I out of breath? Oh my gosh. If you're wanting to visit or haven't been able to secure a reservation yet and still looking for a way to bring magical foods into your life, I've got just the thing for you. Not me. This is the writer of Inside the Magic has something good for you. While some people have been using this time in quarantine to try out homemade recipes that mimic popular park foods, others are looking for a more simple alternative that still features a little bit of magic. And I can guarantee, not me, the writer for Inside the Magic guarantees, that these pre-made Mickey-shaped appetizers will be the perfect touch of magic to bring a smile to your face. Now let's go ahead and pause right here. Frozen Mickey Mouse snacks now available. Jeremy, what are your thoughts just right off the bat here about these new mozzarella sticks that are available?
Well, not only do I just personally love mozzarella sticks, I think this is probably the single most important news story that we've ever brought up here on the Matterhorn Mondays podcast. Mozzarella sticks are very important to me. I collect, in fact, I have a collection of mozzarella sticks, and this is going to add to my collection. And Farm Rich, the good people at, what is it, Farm Rich is what it says?
Yeah.
I always say Farm Rich, Life Rich. And that's, these mozzarella sticks. This is big Disney news, the biggest Disney news we've probably seen all quarantine. Those are my thoughts.
Very excited. Again, Farm Rich, and these are available at your local grocery stores. Publix, Kroger, I don't know how to pronounce this next one. Meijer, Meyer? Is that... whatever. Albertsons / Safeway, Giant Eagle, CNS, Wegmans, and Weiss. I never heard of these stores before, but apparently, hopefully, if you go to them, they will house these new Mickey mozzarella sticks. And, that's our first topic, everybody. Alex, what are your thoughts here on these Mickey mozzarella sticks that have been released?
It's all right.
It's all right. Jeremy's dying in his chair.
I know, I just saw him. He's like...
Jeremy's dying in this chair. Well, anyways.
Just kidding.
Just kidding. Guys, that's not our main topic.
That's not our main topic at all.
Jeremy, why did we have that as our main topic on the show today?
I don't know. I was gathering the news sources as I always do, and it was the most random news story that I saw, and I said, what if I jokingly said, what if we do this as the main topic? And then the idea hatched to completely prank Alex and see what his reaction would be if we like that was the main topic. Anyway,
you know, that prank kind of fell flat because I was just kind of like sitting here going like, this is so boring. Why are we talking about? And then Jeremy going
I tried to liven it up.
And then Jeremy going completely off about his obsession with mozzarella sticks. I'm like, dude, this guy is never funny. So what is he doing?
Oh my gosh. Got him. We pranked you, Alex. We got you good.
We got to do better next time.
No, we have to prank Jeremy next time.
Challenge accepted.
Well, anyways.
Oh, prank me next time? Okay. All right. I'm open to that.
Okay, well, we do have some real news. Not that wasn't real news, because that is technically news. It's just not. Anyways, we do have real news to get to today. And this is sort of breaking news that has been developing over this past week. Upon Epcot's reopening this past Wednesday, guests discovered that sections of the Epcot experience advertising for the Spaceship Earth Refurb and Mary Poppins edition were removed from the show. Now, we'll go ahead and pause right there because Disney did put out a statement themselves. A spokesperson for the company came out and said that they are reevaluating, I believe the words are something like the words that they used was like they're going to be reevaluating their projects going forward, and that these two attractions or upgrades would be put on pause for the time being. Not necessarily that they'd be canceled. I don't think they outright said that they would be canceled, but they did just say that they would be put on hold, put on the back burner. So let's go ahead and pause right there. Mr. Jeremy here, as an Epcot fan, as the biggest Epcot fan probably in the entire world, what are your thoughts here on,
that's not true.
on the Spaceship Earth Refurb and the Mary Poppins edition to Epcot being put on hold?
So, the Disney company faces a challenge, which is how do we reallocate our resources to fit our sort of the way we've been financially impacted by coronavirus. So things have to either be delayed or put entirely on the chopping block. The Mary Poppins extension, I mean, that one I can kind of understand, and I don't necessarily have any strong feelings about because for whole other reasons. But the Spaceship Earth Refurb, I don't quite see how that. Listen, there was a Blog Mickey article that jumped the gun and took the assumed that the projects were canceled just because they weren't featured in the Epcot experience with the reopening of Epcot. I don't think they're canceled. I don't think there's any reason or to back that up. I do think that they are going to be delayed longer, probably very long. But it's I would like to see a new Spaceship Earth for our new Epcot. I think. I would like to believe that they tried to figure out how to still be able to do that, but I assume that other projects wouldn't be able to balance that out. But I wish they would have been able to figure out a way to prioritize the Spaceship Earth refurb. I also know that they were reallocating resources to prioritize the Splash Mountain redo as well, so that probably plays into it too.
Yeah, Mr. Alex, what about you?
I'm curious to ask Jeremy this. Jeremy, how would you feel if Disney were to announce tomorrow that they are completely canceling their plans to refurbish Spaceship Earth? How would you feel? What are your thoughts?
I would be disappointed. You know, I don't necessarily love the vague version of Spaceship Earth that was presented, but I would trust them to fill in those details at a later date. I don't want Spaceship Earth is not meant to stay the same. It's meant to grow and change. So I would be disappointed if it's just going to stay at the 2007 version for the foreseeable future.
If I recall correctly, when they first announced that they were going to be refurbishing Spaceship Earth with all this stuff, if I recall correctly, you had said you'd rather them keep Spaceship Earth the way it is now than for it to be turned into what they're going to do.
I don't think I've ever made those comments. My position has been very clear. I am all for attractions changing and evolving, especially Spaceship Earth. I've said I've maintained this position. You can go back to podcasts. You can look at my tweets. Spaceship Earth, a new Spaceship Earth would be so exciting. I don't love the vague version that's been announced. That's been my position since the day it was announced. You can look back.
I don't think I need to look back. I think my memory is perfect. And even if it's not what you said, it's what you said in my head, and that's what I'm sticking to.
Great. Yay.
Well, just for the record, that has my that's my position about the theme parks in general, especially with Epcot. I'm not one of those Epcot fans that just wants it to be Epcot 1989. You know, I'm all for a brand new, exciting Epcot. I've highlighted my opinions about this and also on another podcast as well. So my positions are out there for you and anyone to cross-reference that for.
Liar.
Nope.
Jeremy, you just got called a liar. What do you have to say to that?
I mean, I know what my positions are, so Alex can...
Position of two-faced liar.
Well... Anyways, we do have some additional news to talk here about Epcot, these Epcot changes as well. It's not just these two projects that were put on hold, but of course, as you all probably have heard, the model of the brand new festival center, whatever the heck this building, the structure was, I don't know what it's supposed to look like, but it's supposed to be a festival center. The model was also removed from the lobby of the Epcot experience, and then Disney did, of course, go on later to confirm that this project, as well as the previous two that we mentioned before, have been postponed. Now that we have the whole context here, I guess it's also worth noting that the Moana walkthrough water experience, whatever that was going to be called, it has not been postponed. And I guess you can make the assumption that that was of low enough budget that it didn't really warrant maybe a postponement, whereas these other three projects, of course, built from the ground up with the Festival Center and the Mary Poppins, and then, of course, I'm sure it's expensive to renovate Spaceship Earth into the way that they were probably planning on doing it. So I'm so glad the Moana experience walkthrough is going to be staying over this beautiful Festival Center that, you know, or the great... even the Spaceship Earth refurb, so that's very interesting as well. Now, I want to ask you guys, as well as you in the chat as well, do you think that these projects are going to be canceled, or do you believe that Disney is telling the truth and that they will be, you know, postponed until a later date? Because I can personally see this festival center. I mean, it's kind of extravagant. It doesn't really... I don't really think they need it, to be completely honest with you. I'm sure they could just put booths anywhere they want to, which is what they've already been doing. I don't really see why, you know, it's cheaper anyways. So I can see the festival center being cut completely. You know, maybe in like 50 years we'll see another festival center try and pop up in the park. Possibly the Mary Poppins project as well, because that was probably, you know, relative low budget. But Alex, what do you think about these three projects being postponed? Do you think that they are actually going to be canceled, or do you believe Disney when they say that they are going to be postponed until a later date?
Well, I think it's really important to mention that this whole Epcot refurbishment was entirely based around the Moana walkthrough experience. It has been the number one thing that they wanted to change and install into the park. And so therefore, all the other projects they could afford to postpone them as long as they got their Moana walkthrough. And I think that they're accomplishing that entirely. I mean, you wouldn't have Epcot without Moana. So that being said, as for the festival center, that building, actually, I kind of like the way that building looks. And as much as I really don't understand what was going in there, I do think it was really cool looking, and it's a great model for stuff that we could build in cities to create more space out of very little square footage, But so I'm a little bit sad about that, even though I have no idea what was supposed to happen with that building. But yes, and just so you know, my comments about Moana was completely fake.
I hope people recognize that, so thank you for explaining.
I realized, I mean, you guys weren't smiling or anything. Like, I was just like, do they
No,
not
at first I thought you were
realize...
speaking completely straight. At first I thought you were being like completely honest about that, and I was like, all right, I'll just go along with it.
I really thought that once I said you couldn't have Epcot without Moana,
That's
I
where it
really
got
thought
me,
you guys
yeah.
would finally...
No,
yeah,
Moana,
okay.
that's when I
realized.
That's when I realized. But at first I was like, oh, does he mean like because they're getting rid of that area, that that whole building, that's too much of a construction obligation to continue to demolish that? But that's what I thought you meant at first.
No.
Well, passing the torch from me to Alex and now to Jeremy. Do you think that these projects are going to be outright canceled by Disney, or do you actually believe that Disney is going to go forward building this huge, extravagant floating festival center?
It's hard to say. It could go either way, to be honest. I would like to believe that these things are just delayed, because the most exciting thing and the most well-received thing about New Epcot was the park. And if... I think I've died, so I'm waiting. So, okay,
you should probably restart that, because I don't know what you said in the beginning.
God, I just can't wait to not use this computer. Okay, cool. So it depends. It could go either way. I'd like to believe Disney is just delaying this, but it could go either way depending on their situation. I would like to see this structure, but one of the most exciting things and one of the most well-received things about New Epcot was the aesthetic renewal of the park, and not so much the substance of the new version of the park, as it's just gonna... I think I died again. So still dead. And I think I'm back. Okay. I think, yes, now I'm back.
He's back.
So sorry, there's nothing I can do about it. Not so much the substance is what, so people were more excited about the aesthetic of the park, not so much the IP integration. So if we get sort of the same Epcot look, and a sort of half, done aesthetic changes to the park with just like Castle Park level rides, I don't know how well that'll be for Epcot's future, but I hope they go forward with the structural changes.
Mm-hmm. Well, we do.
I know I probably died again, but you know what? Who cares at this point? It's just a lost cause.
Well, we do have a voicemail to get to here from Mr. Avery, so let's go ahead and hear what Avery has to say about these changes coming to Epcot.
Addition to the UK Pavilion. I was really looking forward to the Mary Poppins Cherry Tree Lane addition to the UK Pavilion, and now to see it potentially be cancelled, I'm kind of sad about. I know people didn't want Cherry Tree Lane to be added to the UK, but in my opinion, the UK needed an attraction, and Mary Poppins was the right choice to expand the pavilion to give the pavilion more life. Spaceship Earth, I'm happy that, I know a lot of people are happy that they'll be able to get another chance to thank the Venetians before the transformation, before the overhaul. So we have our Spaceship Earth, the current Spaceship Earth as it is for a while now because of the current situation. Now, regarding the Festival Center, that big tree table. Yeah, let's call it a tree table.
Tree table.
Yeah, I'm not surprised about that one. Not surprised the mall was removed from the Epcot Experience show. That's been postponed as well, and will probably be canceled. We'll probably get the same fate as the Main Street Theater, where it got postponed and then quietly shelved. But you could say it's not that quiet on Twitter because everyone's happy about it being potentially canceled. But yeah. But here's the thing: now they demolished Innoventions for nothing. So what are they gonna put there if they're not gonna put the festival center? What are they gonna put? Bushes? A small garden? What are they gonna put there? And to be honest, the concept art looks nice. Like, if you were to go all around the top there, that would be a great view of the fireworks. That would have been cool. But not surprised that happened to the tree table that it got postponed. But yeah, the future of Epcot, it's questionable about what will happen to my favorite part. But we'll see. Only time will tell.
Time will tell, Avery. And he did make a great point there that part of Innoventions has already been demolished to make way for these projects that are being postponed. So that is, and Epcot's already open too. And so that construction is clearly visible from all the guests. So it is going to be very strange if you do happen to visit Epcot in the next, year or so, or whenever they decide to greenlight these projects. It's just going to be, empty space unless they do decide to put like a water fountain there or like bushes, like Avery said. So that that is kind of, it's just I guess it sucks to be an Epcot fan right now, like one of those hardcore Epcot fans, because the park is clearly just in shambles at the moment. Construction everywhere. These projects are halted. It is very sad to see, but Jeremy did make a great point earlier. I believe I heard as well that the budget for the Spaceship Earth refurb was going to be sort of moved to the refurb for the Splash Mountain in the Magic Kingdom, the Princess and the Frog retheme. So I guess it's going to a good cause. Spaceship Earth it's at least still going to be open and functional in its current state. But the refurb money, it's going to be put to good use, refurbing or changing up Splash Mountain. And and I do have to say, Mr. Avery, that was not a 1 minute voicemail, Avery. That was a 2 minute,
I know.
2 minute and 15-second voicemail. I love you, Avery, but got to do what you got to do.
Not playing the rules.
Consider the punishment. We'll get back to you.
Yeah, we'll get back to you on that. But do you guys have any final thoughts before we move on to the next topic?
Yes. So I know my comments about Epcot and stuff all this time have been really not very serious, but I feel still that this whole need to attach Disney characters to Epcot really dilutes the message of Epcot. I mean,
yeah.
When I went there back in 2006, okay, I didn't like Epcot that much. But that was because everything was so dated and old, and they never had anything quite new. I think the newest thing they had was Mission Space at the time, and that was pretty cool. I liked it a lot. But the thing is it's the same thing I say about It's a Small World when they added all those Disney characters. It just dilutes the message. It makes it so this really important thing that you must take with you, and keep in your mind and your heart is completely missed out on because people are more busy paying attention to their favorite Disney characters. You have 3 parks you can focus Disney characters on. Why not just keep your one park that focuses on a message and learning and stuff? I mean, I know people don't want to learn, but there's ways to get people to learn that are still entertaining. And so I just feel like, I mean, yeah, the Great Britain Pavilion needed an attraction, but it's Mary Poppins is not a representation of Great Britain. She's not. She's a Disney character, and then like Frozen, like Anna and Elsa, they're not really that tied to that culture. It's really more of a Disney thing. It's just like, And then of course with the rest of the park just going more towards Disney characters, it's just, I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to generate more interest, but you generate interest using topics and ideas that actually require some deep thinking, to get yourself out of that rut. The cheap way of going about it is attaching an IP to something. But if you really want to get people to think and learn, you got to keep Epcot about thinking and learning. That's just how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, it goes back to sort of I won't talk too much about it because I can talk about that, just that alone, for a very long time, and I have on this very show. But it just goes back to the central idea, and I'll use the Mary Poppins. First of all, P.L. Travers could be a representation of British culture, but no, don't freeze now, please. No, please don't do that to me. Come on, go back down. CPU, go back down. Okay.
PU, he said.
Please,
Jeremy said
please.
PU.
Okay, I think it's okay. Good, I'm back down. I'm sorry. No, I didn't. CPU, it probably cut out. Is that Mary Poppins? The version that they're going to be putting into the parks is an American achievement. The film. Both films are American achievements, not British ones. That's my fundamental issue with their direction with World Showcase. Anyway.
Yeah, well said. Well, I would love to hear what everybody else in the chat, in the comments, have to say. Also, 575-386-5814 if you'd like to talk, speak your mind about any of these Epcot changes. And before we move on, I did forget to showcase this at the beginning of the episode. I was sent this great piece of artwork here from Mr. Steamboat Steve, a good friend of mine who is in the chat, actually. And let me see if I can show it here for you all. This is wood.
Wow.
It's kind of
oh my god.
Glare. And I haven't found a place to hang it yet, so that's why I'm showing it off here.
Oh, that's so amazing.
So yeah, shout out to Steve. Steve's great. Alex knows Steve. Alex introduced me to Steve.
Steve and I have been good friends for a couple of years now. He'd been watching my channel for a while, and we actually met at the park. He interrupted me while I was eating soup. And but it was the best interruption ever because we had a great conversation, and ever since we've been really great friends. So shout out to Steve.
Shout out to Steve, everybody. I'll have to find a place to hang
That's
this
wonderful.
so we can see it in the cameras. But yeah, that does it for today's or I guess this first main topic. Now it is time, everybody, to get into this week's COVID headline run down.
This week on Matterhorn Monday, Matt and company continue their reports and discussions on COVID-19 and its impact on the Disney company around the world.
All right, everybody. Wait, that's not the right picture. That's not one of our COVID headlines. Well, continuing on here, our theme of canceled projects, canceled entertainment for our first COVID headline rundown. Rivers of Light canceled or closed forever. Confirmation of Primeval Whirl as well as Stitch's Great Escape. Their permanent closures as well. So if you guys are fans of Rivers of Light, you're going to have to watch those POVs on YouTube because you're never going to be able to have a chance to experience it. Experience it again and again. These are, of course, just the headlines. If you'd like to have more information, you can always click the links down in the description below. Second headline, Tokyo Disney Resort confirms some seasonal attraction overlays canceled for 2020. Third headline, no sail order extended by the CDC. Disney Cruise Line sailings through September 30th potentially affected. Fourth headline here, Disney Parks attendance quote-unquote flat in newly released 2019 Themed Entertainment Association report. Fifth headline here, 2 NBA players test positive for COVID-19 while quarantined in the Walt Disney World Resort bubble. That's a interesting story to follow if you're basketball fans. And here we have the sixth headline here. New York now issuing $2,000 fines for failure to observe required 14-day quarantine for travelers from Florida due to surge in COVID-19 cases. Guys, don't visit Florida is basically what that headline is saying. You'll be charged $2,000 if you don't do the 2-week quarantine. That's crazy to hear. And finally here, Falcon and Winter Soldier Disney Plus series release has been delayed as production shutdown continues. Will not make its August release, which is next month, actually. August is next month, you guys. In a few, weeks. That is crazy. It's almost August. Feels like just yesterday. Oh, wow, it's July already. But anyways. Moving on to our second COVID main topic here today. Disney Cultural Representative Program suspended. Suspended, you guys. Disney is contacting participants of their Cultural Representative Program and informing them that the program has been suspended indefinitely. The main reason for suspension of the program has been cited as lack of housing, and individuals who were in the middle of their program when the parks closed were told they will receive official program completion and will be able to reapply in the future. Now, this sort of sucks for all those people who are in the Disney Cultural Representative Program, which of course has been suspended. Alex, what are your thoughts here on this second main topic that we have?
You know, what's interesting was how I said a couple episodes ago that they were suspending the Cultural Representative Program.
That's true. He did. I remember.
And you guys are telling me that Disney never said anything. And maybe you're right. They never said anything, but somehow I knew. So I must have read it somewhere that
that's true.
They
that
did.
it was
No,
happening.
there was an announcement. There was an announcement that it was temporarily. There was an announcement.
No, you
earlier
told
in
me they
2018.
said nothing
Yes, there
about
was.
it. Now you're trying to take credit for knowing something before Alex the historian.
No,
this is typical Jeremy behavior. You always know something
No, let
before
me
I do,
amend
and
this
when
for the
I know
record.
something, I don't.
No, let me amend this for the record. No, that's not true. That is not true. So, for the record, there I believe there was an announcement, not a permanent, not this indefinite for the foreseeable future closure, but they did shut it down temporarily because of an initial reaction to COVID-19. The correction I made to you a couple weeks ago, I think, was because you with Black Lives Matter and that's I think what I corrected you on. But Disney did make a similar announcement, and I died. So my point is just, now I'm back. So I don't know how much of that was picked up because of my computer.
heard enough.
So okay, just for the record, I'm not trying to correct. I'm not trying to like put you down, Alex.
I'm just saying, there's things I know, and you don't know I know, but I know.
Oh, wow. That's kind of... Is that kind of threatening, Alex? Oh, my God. Well, anyways, Alex, what are your thoughts here on Disney canceling the Cultural Representative Program? Or suspending, I should say.
They're doing it because they can't house them, right?
Yeah, lack of housing.
Why is there a lack of housing?
It's a good question.
I would assume coronavirus.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, in that case, I'm not surprised, honestly. What?
Jeremy died again.
Jeremy's gone. Everybody, can we get an F in the chat for Jeremy?
F in chat for Jeremy, you guys. All right, well, anyways.
I'm still here. I'm here. I'm alive now.
Oh.
Well, moving
I take it
on,
back.
then, Jeremy, what are your thoughts here on the Cultural Representative Program being suspended?
Yeah, I mean, as a result of COVID, I'm not surprised it's going to be suspended for the foreseeable future. Unfortunately, I think that might be a permanent thing, even when in a post-COVID world, which to me is a shame. It goes back. No, it's not okay. It's at 100% the CPU. It goes back directly to what we were talking about earlier, just the authenticity of Epcot, and having those representatives of each country makes it such a unique experience. If you take the time to talk to people, it's it'll be it'll be sad if that is a permanent loss. I keep spiking. I hate this. Okay, I'll be sad if it's a permanent loss. I hope it's not, because it's one of the things that makes Epcot one of the most unique theme parks in the world. So it'd be a shame to just have it just be basically a parody of itself. Like, it's World Showcase is made fun of from people on the outside who don't know anything about Disney history as being cultural appropriation. Now it's going to be, especially if there's more IP integration and everyone's an American.
Sure.
So, World Showcase works best, the most authentic it can be, when you actually get to meet people from those specific countries. It's the most unique experience you can have at a theme park.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I agree
100%, and I was looking forward to visiting Epcot in the near future. I was planning on going for the 50th anniversary of the resort, but sadly,
with us, right?
Yeah, with Alex and with everybody else too. It would have been great, but hopefully next year for the 500th anniversary is when I'll probably have the next chance to visit, to be honest. But anyways, unless you guys have any final thoughts on this, on the second topic here, I think it's time to go ahead and move on. Any final thoughts? Okay. All right. Well, before we get into our final topic, which is, of course, the Attraction Retrospective, let's go ahead and take a quick break here to listen from, or to hear some words from the show's sponsors. If you guys are wondering where you can find even more family-friendly live streams just like this one, head on over to theliveplace.com. The Live Place is your headquarters for great family-friendly live streams. They cover anything from Disney to other vacation spots, various variety shows, and have some amazing streamers like Resort TV 1 and myself. Also, be sure to check out puckermint.com, where you can find amazing pins and stickers. Puckermint is based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, just a few hours from where I live. And since I'm a big believer in supporting local artists, we decided to partner up. Be sure to use the coupon code down below when you make your next order. Again, that's puckermint.com and puckermint on Instagram. All right, and we are back, everybody. And that has, of course, been a word from the show sponsors. And you guys, I completely forgot that we sell t-shirts here on the Matterhorn Matt channel, and I'm actually wearing one of the t-shirts that we sell. This is a Matt Snaps t-shirt, everybody. Have you guys seen this before? This is a Matt Snaps themed t-shirt that you can buy. Link down in the description below if you'd like to support the channel. Yeah, it's been a while since I've promoted our Teespring page, but, link down below if you'd like to support. But we are, of course, getting into this week's Attraction Retrospective. And like I said, oh yeah, I sell pins too. I have pins, you guys. I've completely I don't think they're on Etsy or anything, but anyways, continuing on. Like I mentioned at the top of the episode, I was very disappointed, I guess I should say is the word, that the attraction that I wanted to talk about lost today. I was rooting for Star Tours, and we've had great moments with Mr. Lincoln up on the poll on Twitter. We do post polls for each of our attraction retrospectives that we put out. I try to put them out every Saturday at 10 in the morning. Vote on the ride. Yeah, and we've had great moments with Mr. Lincoln on the poll for a good, month and a half now, I think. And he's just been constantly getting, last place. I feel win. So bad.
It'll win one day.
It'll win when we pair it up against, Storybook
the
Canal
Jolly
boats.
Trolley.
The Jolly Trolley and the Story. Yeah, that's a good one to put it up against. But, of course, if you guys have been paying attention to the Twitter polls, the Disneyland monorail has decided to pull ahead for this week's attraction retrospective. It did win this week's poll, and we're going to be talking in depth about this attraction, because this is one of my favorite rides / modes of transportation at the Disneyland Resort. And I guess we can go ahead and start there. The Disneyland monorail was, of course, originally invented, not necessarily invented by Mr. Walt Disney, but he installed it here in this Disneyland park as sort of a test for his upcoming Epcot Center to sort of prove to the world that monorails could be used as a mode of transportation and wind around all these small tight corners around as he modeled in the park. You could wind around all the neighborhoods and everything. And I think it's a great example set forth as a great, futuristic mode of transportation, which I'm sad that it never really got picked up by any cities or anything, minus a few airports. It would be nice
just not America. But that's
that's true. Well, just think of how cool it would be to like go to the supermarket, or I guess maybe not now, but like go to. Wouldn't it be? Oh, okay. It'd be cool to go to the supermarket on a monorail.
Yes,
you get to come home. Hop off the monorail, get on the people mover, and then the people mover would take you right into your neighborhood. That would be absolutely amazing. We can pause right there, Mr. Alex. You recently put out or maybe not recently. You put out a history video on the Disneyland monorail a few months ago. So let's go ahead and start with you. What is it about the Disneyland monorail that makes it so special to you and maybe to other guests as well?
The Disneyland monorail is so cool in my opinion. It looks more technically advanced than it is. It's essentially an electric bus that runs on a concrete beam. That's really all it is, and that's what Bob Gurr likes to call it, is an electric bus on a beam, and he's the one that designed it. So, but yes, the thing I love about it is that it feels like this sleek kind of new futuristic transportation. When you're on it, it feels different than any other mode of transit. You're up in the air, you can see things kind of from a bird's eye perspective, and then being able to just bob and weave through the trees in Tomorrowland and stuff like that. It's a really interesting experience, which I can't necessarily say the same thing for the Walt Disney World monorail. I mean, it does do similar things, but it was designed more like a serious mode of transportation, whereas Disneyland's monorail was originally more like a ride, and that's why it does all that dipping and diving and going underneath itself, and it's just really cool. And what I like most about the monorail is it's one of those attractions at Disneyland where if I bring someone who's never been to Disneyland or any Disney theme park and I bring them here and I take them on the monorail, it's a totally new experience for them. They're so surprised when they ride it, and I love seeing that surprise on people's faces. So yeah, that's what I love most about the monorail.
Jeremy, what about you?
Yes. Sorry, my it's my computer. I'm like I'm playing it. I'm like, anyway. So yeah, no, I mean, I agree with Alex completely. I love the monorail. It is such a unique experience. It's I love it. I mean, I always try to go on it when I'm there if it's not too long of a wait, because people use it and I'm frozen and I'm dying because when am I going to come back? Okay, no, I'm back. Okay. It has such a rich history. Walt was obsessed with trying to figure out new ways to bring efficient public transportation to the American people. If only we had taken that seriously. There's still an opportunity though, because we're still behind in that facility here in this country, and there's a lot of lessons to be learned still, I think, by going to Walt Disney World and seeing how it does. In Disneyland, it was meant to be, here is this form of transportation, and it is a fun ride. But in Disney World, the attempt was more, okay, no, here's actually I think I froze again, but okay, now I'm back. No, now I'm not back.
I can hear you
now
fine.
I'm back. Yeah, you're fine.
In Disney World, okay, good, because when the CPU goes spikes, everything freezes on my end, so I assume it freezes on your end. So In Disney World, it was more of a serious attempt to say, no, look, here's how it can function as actual long distance or, medium range, medium distance transportation. And it does. Now they need to upgrade those vehicles. That's for sure. But it is a wonderful mode of transportation. And it's not just fantasy, folks. Other countries in the modern world use a monorail and other high-speed electric public transportation. If they can do it, we can do it. That's all I'll say about that.
I agree.
Yeah, the thing about the monorail, it's really funny because back a couple years ago when California was trying to decide on a means to get from Southern California to San Francisco in a very speedy amount of time, they were looking at things like the Hyperloop, which is like a vacuum tube type of thing. And then they were looking at a bullet train, and then they were looking at monorails. And it's funny because a monorail is not designed to go that far. It's designed just to be in a city or a big metropolitan area. It's medium distance, like Jeremy said. And so there's this, but because of that, there's this stigma out there, even still, that monorails are not efficient, and it's totally not true. It's the opposite. Monorails are way more efficient than buses and stuff like that. True, you can't alter their route as quickly, but by using a monorail paired with either a bus system or even a people mover, you can actually get people everywhere they need to go in a city. And that's the way things should be. Monorails are great because they have very small carbon footprint. Yes, they do use electricity, which creates carbon, but it's a lot less than using several buses. As well as the fact that monorails can be upgraded and made larger and stuff like that to accommodate. You can add more cars to them, like Disneyland has. Disneyland started off with a 3-car monorail. Today they have a 5-car monorail. And there's talks that one day they'll add a 6th car. So, that kind of thing. And at Walt Disney World, the monorails do very well. They are very efficient things. I love monorails. So I think that we need to start considering adding more monorails to cities.
I agree as well. Barbecue Head said in chat here, I use Disneyland's monorail to transport me to the bar at the Disneyland Hotel and back to the park before they sold alcohol in the park. Life hack, I guess, for Mr. Barbecue Head. Thank you for that. And then we do have a voicemail here. We have 2 voicemails, actually. We'll get to this first one here first. And this is from Mr. Chris with a K himself. So let's go ahead and hear what he has to say about this week's Attraction Retrospective on the monorail.
Hey, this is Chris from Christmas McKay. We're talking about you're talking about the monorail thing, whatever it's called, a retrospect. As it currently stands, I really think the monorails at Disneyland, they're really in a really kind of weird place right now. Because, over the years, all the other monorail systems in the world, they've been updated, they've been constantly improved over the years, better seating, better AC units. In Disney World, the doors fall off for you, and it's just so much nicer over there. And Disneyland's version, it just kind of remains the same over the years. I don't want the monorail system to end up something like, a ride from Shanghai Disneyland. It's just not right. So, I mean, even though I think it's a really classic attraction that's basically timeless, I do think Disney should find a way to update it and bring it to the modern standard. Yeah, that's basically it. All right, bye.
Thank you, Chris, for that great voicemail.
Thank you, Chris, so much.
Thank you, Chris,
for reminding me about our conversation last night. Anyway, God bless you, Chris. God bless you.
Oh my God.
Okay. Well, Chris did make a good point there. The monorail is in kind of a weird place at the moment. We have talked in the past. Well, I guess we should talk about its past before we talk about its future, because, of course, the monorail did open alongside the Matterhorn bobsleds and the submarine voyage. I believe it was in 1969.
59.
10 years off, almost there. I'm getting it, almost. 1959 is when those 3 attractions opened, and big step forward in the advancement of theme park entertainment, of course, with the monorail. And then, yeah, like I teased, we should talk about the attraction's future as well, because we have touched on in the past about how, about the possibility of the monorail track possibly being shortened, maybe even, the possibility of it closing down forever. I don't think we've ever said that, but, we have touched, of course, about the track possibly shortening in the future due to some maybe new Fantasyland expansions or Tomorrowland expansions. So I'd like to touch on that very briefly as well. Jeremy, taking into context the discussion that we've just previously had, would you be sad or would you be happy if the monorail track got cut short in favor of possibly a new Tomorrowland or possibly a Fantasyland expansion?
Bittersweet. Obviously, I think what makes that section of the park work so well is having all those different layers of motion, and the monorail weaving through that area between Tomorrowland and Fantasyland is just such a highlight of and such a quintessential Disneyland experience.
Mhm.
However, I'm not against the Fantasyland expansion, so it would depend how they. It always comes down to execution. Would I be sad to see the weaving of the monorail, go away? Yeah, but would I be happy for a good Fantasyland expansion? Also, yes. So it's sort of a difficult area to tread.
Very difficult, literally, to tread because you can't walk on top of the beams. But Alex, what are your thoughts here?
First of all, my thoughts are that that was a very Matterhorn Matt thing to say.
Yeah,
but yes, the thing is that Disney wants to expand the Disneyland monorail system. They want to make it more efficient. They want to, they want to make it so it can actually be used as transportation better, because the more use they get out of it, the more that they can maintain it and keep it in the park. The way things are going currently, the monorail is so limited in capacity, and they can't get enough use out of it. And it just makes the numbers look bad, So, but the reason why they can't expand it in its current form is actually because of the track itself. The track itself is designed to hold a certain amount of weight. They can't add larger monorails that are beefier and heavier without really taking a serious look at how much weight and physics the track currently can hold, as well as the fact that because the monorail one track goes over the other, in some of those areas the track actually is only has so many feet of clearance. The current monorail passes underneath the track, I believe, in two different areas, and it barely clears the roof of the monorail. And so because of that, they can't make a taller monorail that you can stand up in. And because of that, because of all the bobbing and weaving and the tight turns within the park itself, they can't build longer monorail cars because they would have difficulty getting around those tight turns and stuff like that. So what Disney would need to do if they ever wanted to upgrade the monorail system was literally rebuild it from scratch. They would have to build beefier monorail beams. They would need to build, the track would need to be leveled out. It banks around turns and stuff, just for the thrill of it. But it doesn't need to bank around turns that much. And you can't stand up in a monorail when it banks around a turn that tightly. So they would need to do significant changes to the whole system. And so right now, the best thing that they can think of is to completely replace the whole route within the park itself, and then build a much wider, smoother route that just goes in and out of Tomorrowland, and they can reconnect it with the rest of the Beamway. And in that sense, that's the least they can do. And with that, they can add an extra car or two to the monorail to add more, efficiency. You won't be able to stand up in it still, but they, things like that. So I hope that Disney does something. I hope that they upgrade the monorail system. I'd like to see it last for several years more, and the only way to do that is to be able to do these upgrades.
Very well said, Mr.
Yeah,
Alex.
I would love to see a monorail upgrade too. Yeah.
I agree, but before
Sorry, there's
we
a delay, so I end up speaking.
well, before we continue on, Mr. Alex, you do have something that you would like to say, don't you?
Yes, I am addicted to chocolate chip cookies, and I have a problem. No,
that makes two of us.
I actually, I have to go now, folks. I have to go grocery shopping. This is my time of the week to do that, so have to go. But it has been a great pleasure to speak with all of you and my great nemesis, Jeremy Harris. So,
if only I considered you a nemesis. I don't.
I am your most, what's the word? Diabolical rival? No. Whatever. I'm your rival. So
No, you're not. No, you're not.
All right. Well, anyways, thank you, Mr. Alex, for joining us. And
all right.
We'll see you on next week's episode, as always.
All right. See you guys.
Bye, Alex.
Bye-bye.
There he goes. And then there is Jeremy's camera, which is dead. Jeremy's dying, everybody. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, we do have some voicemails that I would like to get to before we continue on with this week's episode. So let's go ahead, and I'll fix the cameras here in a second once we listen to the voicemail. So let's go ahead and listen to this voicemail. This is from Mr. Mark from TASG.
Hey guys, Mark here from TASG. So anyways, I'm really happy that the monorail won this week. So let me ask you guys this. What would be, if there was an extension of the Disneyland monorail, where would you have it, and why would it be the Mickey and Friends and Pixar Palace parking structures? Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Mark, for that great voicemail. And there has been talk actually in chat about where you guys would like to see the monorail be expanded to, as to where you would like additional stops to be. And I guess we can sort of continue on the discussion there. Jeremy, let's go ahead and start with you here. If you could expand the monorail to any location in Disneyland Resort, why would it be the Mickey and Friends parking structure, and why?
First of all, that would be if they were to expand it, that would be the most logical solution. So I agree with that. The only problem is that actually everything is so close together at the Disneyland Resort that I don't quite see how you could have a third stop, even at DCA, even if it was pushed a little further too, because Grand California is too close to the downtown Disney Station, and downtown Disney Station is almost too close to the Mickey and Friends parking lot. I think you could do that, but Freddie was talking about in chat here, sort of incorporating also a people mover system, and I think replacing the Mickey and Friends tram with a people mover system to the front of the park would actually be like really cool, and that would solve, having more than one efficient transportation system could work. I just think the monorail route is so short because everything is so close together that it only makes sense to have two stops.
Yeah, that's a fair point as well. I've thought about this a lot, and I do agree that it would be kind of short to because people were saying to add a stop in DCA, and I feel like that would be kind of they'd have to extend it, a good amount if they were to do that. But I'm all for adding a people mover from Mickey and Friends to the Esplanade. I feel like that would be a great addition. And we do have, you guys are killing it with the voicemails today. Let's go ahead and continue on to this. Let's see, this third voicemail here. And I don't believe this has a name attached, but let's go ahead and take a listen here.
Hey, Matt, about the Disneyland monorail. Something I really want Disney to go in and do with it is not really necessarily anything with the monorail itself, but I wish they would put a monorail stop in California Adventure, and I would put it in the Grizzly Peak area, something like that, because then it would be able to be kind of close to the Grand California Hotel. It would kind of pay homage to when the monorail went up to the Disneyland Hotel, way back in the 50s or 60s. So if they could do something like that, then I think it would be a great resort transportation. But other than that, I just use it to go to downtown Disney.
Was that Ryan? Or I think that was either Ryan or one of our other listeners. Thank you to whoever sent in that voicemail. Yeah, I do think it would be great as well to sort of add a stop in the Grizzly Peak area. I'm just a big fan of that area in general, and I'd love to spend more time there. But we do have another voicemail here, again from Mr. Mark TASG, who is in chat. Let's go ahead and... Okay, that was Ryan, he says. Thank you, Ryan, for that voicemail. Let's go ahead and take a listen to this third voicemail, or fifth voicemail? I can't remember.
Hey guys, it's Mark again. I just heard a comment that somebody in the comments said that they used to take the monorail to get alcohol from the monorail bar. Well, actually, similar, like nowadays, I actually use the monorail to get Starbucks from the Starbucks that's just directly across the street. I basically come in the normal way,
No line at that one.
and then I would take a round on the railroad and then go on the monorail, put in my mobile order, and my mobile order will already be ready by the time I get off the monorail in downtown Disney. It is by far the best. Thanks, guys, again.
Life hack, you guys, from Mark. Mark spends a lot of time in the parks filming vlogs and everything, so he's sort of an expert on that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's a great little tip there from Mark. And yeah, I'm proud to say, everybody, that Alex has been replaced by Jeremy to Electric Boogaloo.
Why don't
Round
you
of
say so? Oh,
applause.
no. Oh, wait, are we good? Say so. No. Oh, we keep cutting each other off. Keep speaking at the same time.
Can we limit the amount of Jeremys to 0, please? That's what Nate said in chat. So basically, Jeremy just got owned. Well, anyways, where can we continue on this discussion here of the monorail, Mr. Jeremy? Because this was, of course, planned for Mr. Walt Disney. Why do I say that? Mr. Walt... that's so... Anyways, this was, of course, planned by Walt Disney to be sort of a test for his transportation of the future, and this was, of course, or is still, of course, used as a quote-unquote mode of transportation, even though it's mainly considered to be a ride, because it does take you to downtown Disney from inside the park, and vice versa. And it did, of course, take you from downtown, or from inside the park to the Disneyland Hotel. And yeah, I'd love to see possibly an expansion of the use of this Disneyland's monorail to be an actual mode of transportation, like people were saying, possibly from the parking structure. Excuse me, possibly from the parking structure to the Esplanade, or maybe another way that they can incorporate it. But Jeremy, what are your thoughts on whether or not Disneyland should continue on their should continue trying to use the monorail as a mode of transportation, or just retire it to be maybe just a full-time attraction, no other stops besides the one in Tomorrowland?
Someone brought up in chat a really good idea of if they were to expand it to go around DCA, and that would give more space between, so you could have a third stop potentially with that in mind. So it's always gonna, at Disneyland, it's always gonna be both ride and transportation. I know sometimes if I'm like, oh, I'm gonna eat at a restaurant in downtown Disney, why not take the monorail? And I think guests who stay at the Disneyland Hotel use it as their entrance into the park a lot of the time. And people who don't, know Disneyland very well and go and are, they don't, ooh, I want to go on the monorail. It's a, historic attraction. They go, oh, that's cool. I can take the monorail into the park from where I am right now, which is, the back part of downtown Disney. So it's always going to be both. And that's kind of the point of it. Because really, the monorail in Disneyland is its intention is to exercise the public's imagination about the possibilities about how we can rebuild our cities, how we can do that. Well, not really. It would grow into that concept when Walt was, working on Epcot, and then obviously that manifests itself more in the 1967 Tomorrowland as a sort of outlet to say, hey, let's think both seriously and also like excitedly about the potential for, rebuilding our cities is not a scary thing. It's actually a really exciting thing that we should all support. And I still maintain that, and I still hold that the Disney company has a responsibility to maintain that spirit as well, since they have the infrastructure in the parks to talk about those things.
Yeah, I agree.
Was sort of the start of that, in the parks. Really, that part of Walt goes all the way back to, World War II.
I do know. And I agree, Mr. Jeremy. And before we continue on here, we do have one final voicemail that we would like to get to from Mr. Avery himself. So let's go ahead and hear what Avery has to say about the Disneyland monorail.
When it comes to monorails on the coast, the Disneyland monorail is superior. Superior. That Mark 7 monorail is amazing. It looks so cool. And that was introduced to the system in 2008. Walt Disney World still using monorails from the 80s, and yet those monorails are more famous, iconic, popular than the Disneyland monorail, than the OG Disney monorail. When I was selecting a Disney monorail playset, guess what I went with? The Disneyland monorail, because I like that one more. And not only that, the playset had a remote control, which the Walt Disney World one doesn't have. And when I got the box, I was expecting to read the history of the Disneyland monorail on it. It didn't have Disneyland monorail. It had the history of the Walt Disney World monorail. As if Walt Disney World had the OG monorail. They didn't. Which sucks, because the original Disneyland monorail playset box had, and it was released as D23 back in 2013, or 2011, had the history of the Disneyland monorail. Now, that aside, have you seen the monorail in Tokyo? So cute. That is the cutest monorail I've ever seen. Like, the Disneyland monorail is a great attraction, great way to transport to downtown Disney and back. It's a great way to see the resort. I know it's expensive to build monorails, but it's admittedly a cool mode of transport. No matter how expensive it is. And I know Disney World cheaped out by building the Skyliner, the cable car into the monorail, but monorail, let's face it, the monorail was the better option, the cooler option. Like, yeah, they brought back the Skyway, but monorail, upgrade the monorail, expand the monorail. I think that's what Walt would have wanted anyway. Just saying.
Thank you, Mr. Avery, for that great voicemail. And I do agree that is what Walt would have wanted. And I think what also Walt would have wanted is for the monorail to stay forever in some capacity, whether or not it be an attraction, whether or not it be a mode of transportation, or some hybrid in between. But here at the Disneyland Resort, it is living out its legacy in both, by being both a mode of transportation and one of the greatest Disneyland rides of all time. And I think, on that note, it's time to wrap up this week's episode of Matterhorn Mondays, everybody. Wasn't that a great ending speech that I just gave everybody? You should be proud. That was right off the top of my head, too, so once in a lifetime. But
you've done better.
I'm sure I probably have done better, but anyways, thank you all for coming to today's episode. We appreciate every single one of you. And there was something that I was going to say. I thought I was going to mention something in the chat below, but I guess not. I can't remember. But yeah, as you all know the drill, links to all of our socials will be down in the description down below. And of course, Alex's channel will be listed as well. Go subscribe to Mr. Alex the Historian, even though he isn't here today. People seem to like both of the Jeremys, so we'll go ahead and keep that here for the outro.
What? Stop it. Sorry, Matt. Please.
Guys, what is going on? It's time to end the show. But, yeah. So thank you all for coming to today's episode. Stay tuned for next week. We do have another great episode planned. Another great episode planned. My mind is just all over the place. Thank you all for coming. And as always, have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.